Hey, what's happening everyone? Count Jinsula here with a brand new Pokemon Go video. I hope your day is going really well, and let's get right into it. Okay, so one of my favorite legendaries is returning to Pokemon Go this week. It is going to be none other than Lugia. Now, this Pokemon is not necessarily a top tier Pokemon when it comes to raid battles, but when it comes to the Master League in PvP, it is insanely good. And you do not want to miss out on getting yourself a whole bunch of Lugias this time around, because it's going to know the attack Aeroblast when you catch it. That is a move that makes this Pokemon one of the best Pokemon in the game when it comes to PvP. So if you want yourself a really solid Master League Pokemon, this is definitely one you will want to get. Now, defeating Lugia has always been pretty straightforward. It is a bit of a tanky Pokemon, so you will want to bring the absolute best of the best DPS. But when it comes to the best counters, there has definitely been some new additions compared to the last time Lugia was in raids. So for this video, I'm going to be giving you a quick guide on how you could defeat Lugia and giving you my best strategies for getting as many of these Pokemon as you can. Lugia is a legendary Pokemon with both the Psychic and Flying typings, which means it's going to have very specific weaknesses, which are going to be Dark type, Electric type, Ghost type, Ice type, and Rock type attacks. But it's also going to be resistant to Fighting, Ground, Grass, and Psychic, with Fighting and Ground having almost a double resistance. Now, when it comes to getting perfect IVs for Lugia, you will want one that is 2115, and if it's weather boosted, it's going to be 2645. Those are the magic numbers for getting a perfect IV Lugia, and that's going to be pretty important because one of the only uses for this Pokemon is the Master League in the Go Battle League. So getting yourself the highest IVs possible is going to be very important. Now, speaking of weather boosts, Lugia is going to be weather boosted by just one weather type, and that's going to be windy weather. So if you want a weather boosted Lugia to save yourself some candies when you power it up, then make sure you go out when it is windy outside. Now, if you want to take down Lugia with the least number of trainers as possible, it is definitely doable with just 2 trainers in the raid lobby, but if you want to secure your win, then make sure you have 4 trainers that are at least level 35, with all of the best counters that are at least level 35. Speaking of which, these are the Pokemon you will want to bring up against Lugia. In terms of the Mega Evolutions, you can go with either Mega Tyranitar and Mega Gengar, but I highly suggest you go with Mega Tyranitar with Rock type attacks, because that's going to be a lot more DPS and it's going to survive much longer in battle. And then, when it comes to non-Mega Evolution Pokemon, Dawnwing's Necrozma is going to be the absolute king, and then of course, you could also bring Shadow Tyranitars. Dawnwing Necrozma I want to put a major spotlight on because not only is it a recent addition to Pokemon Go, and for most people who attended Pokemon Go Fest they already have this Pokemon, but it deals such an insane amount of damage that you're going to deal as much as you would with a Mega Evolution. That's just how powerful this one Pokemon is and how much it's just geared towards beating Lugia. Now, let's say you do not have any of these Pokemon ready to go, then you can go with a full team of regular Tyranitars, and it really doesn't matter what moves you bring, just make sure you have either Dark type or Rock type attacks. Right, so with the addition of Necrozma's Dawnwing form, that's definitely going to give you a lot of damage up against this raid boss, and then on top of that, there are Mega Evolutions that are going to be extremely useful, like Mega Tyranitar. I do think this boss is quite easy if you bring the best counters, but do keep in mind that it is a bit of a tankier boss compared to most others, so it's going to require more players than you would usually bring. That is something that is going to be important going into Lugia, because for most trainers, if they underestimate how powerful a Pokemon is, then they might waste some raid passes because they just simply do not have the right numbers. But when it comes to Lugia, if you happen to have yourself a good Dawnwing's Necrozma in your arsenal as well as a bunch of good rock types, then you'll be good to go, because this boss, like I've been saying, is pretty straightforward. It's a Flying and Psychic type, which means it's going to be susceptible to a variety of different Pokemon, and then on top of that, it is just one of those bosses that doesn't deal a whole lot of damage. So you're going to have a lot of Pokemon that are going to stay in battle much longer, and I do think that's something you should definitely take full advantage of because Lugia is by far one of the best Pokemon you could get. But in any case, that's going to be it for this raid guide video. Let me know your thoughts regarding the return of Lugia down below. Do you plan to raid for this Pokemon? Are you interested in getting yourself one with Aeroblast? Definitely say all of your thoughts in the comments below, and let's have a great discussion. Thank you so much for making it all the way to the end of this video. If you found it to be informative and helpful, make sure you hit that like button and subscribe if it's your first time here. And don't forget that little bell so you can stay up to date on whenever I upload videos. And real quick, let me give a shout out to all of my patrons on Patreon. You make this channel content possible. If you want to support the Jinsula channel, the absolute best way to do so is always going to be by joining my Patreon. And if you become a paid Patreon member, you will get the added benefit of getting a permanent spot on my in-game Pokemon Go friends list. So when it comes to playing Pokemon Go together with remote raids and the friendship system, if you want to play Pokemon Go with me, then go and check out my Patreon. And if you want to support my channel in a completely different way, you could do so always by following me on social media. My handle is @Jinsula. I'm on the platforms that you see on screen. Make sure you go over there and give me a follow. And with that said, that's going to be it for this video. I'm Jinsula. Be safe, have fun, love yourself, and I'll catch you all later.
Jinsula